Peace, family. Welcome to MaatSpeaks. And if you can hear me, can you hear me? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, let me know if you can hear me. But peace, family, I am happy to be back. Excuse my absence. So I'm not really sure what's going on. Thought I had fixed my StreamYard or whatever's going on, but still giving me trouble. So looks like I can't share anything tonight. But we can still have the conversation. So peace, family. Glad to see you back here at MaatSpeaks. So this is just a quick pop-up live because I've been missing in action. And I wanted to say hello, kind of discuss some things, and just talk about what MaatSpeaks will look like moving forward. But peace to everyone coming in and coming through MaatSpeaks for this quick impromptu live. So first, let's see who is in the chat, and then we'll take care of a little housekeeping as we have this discussion. So, first, we have Big Man 29 from Los Angeles, California. Well, peace to you. Welcome to My Odd Speaks. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you being here tonight. And my brother, Jabril. Yes, so busy, so busy. So if you follow me on Instagram, you probably know some of the things that have been going on. Recently became a spin instructor, been doing that. Still being a mom, a wife, all of those things. So just been really busy, but I have missed all of you so much. So I couldn't let February go by without checking back in. Wisdom bars, peace to you, brother. Thank you for coming through. And yes, from Chicago, peace. So we're going to before I go get any further, get into the conversation. I do want to remind everyone, as you know, that here at My Odd Speaks, this is, if you're new, I did receive a lot of new subscribers. So if you're new here at My Odd Speaks, remember that this channel is aimed to demonstrate how to maintain, uphold, and build a code and culture through the principles of Ma'at. Now, I recently put up a new trailer, so check that out because that explains what Ma'at Speaks is all about. So check that out. But we begin by applying those principles to ourselves, and then we extend those principles to our families and ultimately our communities. So it's very important that we learn that and we not only observe Ma'at, but we actually utilize those principles in our lives. So make sure you come in, hit that like button, share this conversation or any conversation on Ma'at Speaks. I'm continuing to grow the channel. So here at Ma'at Speaks, we just want to make sure that the information is getting out there, getting out to the people who need this information. So remember, family, you can share, not only share, but you can donate to Ma'at Speaks. And so, as you know, most of you know that you can buy me tea because I love my tea. Here at buymeacoffee.com/MyOddSpeaks. You can also donate to my Cash App, which is My Odd Speaks, Venmo, which is My Odd Speaks, and then my PayPal is Gen Health Revolution, which is also my website, but also my Instagram is Generational Health Revolution. Come on over to Generational Health Revolution on Instagram, follow me, and that's where you can keep up to date with some of the things that are going on. All right, so we're going to jump in here. Let's see. Okay. All right, everyone. So, I always give a disclaimer before we get into the conversation. And I always like to say that before we get into these conversations, I want you to remind you that as you enter, prepare to open your minds. Now, I'm going to have a conversation tonight, and I'm going to keep an open mind as well because I have thoughts on it. But I think we all have our experiences add to um, the things that the things that we see, the images that we see, whatever we are absorbing. So just remember, open your minds. We have been given a filter that most of us are accustomed to. So we see through that filter, and sometimes we don't want to accept things because, maybe, the quote unquote word being triggering, but also it just we haven't maybe dug deeper for certain, information. So this channel is so that we can heal ourselves consciously, name ourselves in a way that is native to who we are. And here we're just working on healing ourselves, our community, and building with one another so that we can create a world that our children and future generations do not need to heal from, but they already come healed and whole and ready to thrive. Okay, family. So let's jump into the conversation. Now, I do want to well, I'll go over that in just a moment. But you saw the thumbnail, right? And I'm not into, celebrity gossip. Um and all of that. I did a whole series on celebrity worship. And I think the more that we entertain celebrities, and celebrity, some people call celebrities like the new age, like gods, right? Because we have given them that status because of the money and what they can do with their money, and all of that being a part of capitalism. So, oh, TWP popcorn, peace to you. Thank you for popping on through. It's good to see you. So one thing that that is important is that when we're having these conversations here on My Odd Speaks, we're not having the conversations just like everybody else is having the conversations, but that we're having the conversations in a balanced way, and that we're actually doing the deep diving on ourselves and then understanding. So there has been conversation that I've been seeing, and there's a lot. So I'm gonna start with the most recent thing, which is Rihanna and what's his name? Is it? I just found out who this dude was like a month ago. So I think it's ASAP. Is that his name? Let me know in the comments if that's his name. But so what I've been seeing, right, is that okay, that's what I thought. All right, so and you saw the image on the thumbnail. I have the image of, I was trying to find the image of the both of them together, but I couldn't find that image where he's like behind her, like holding her. But I was able to get the image of um I was able to get the image of Rihanna. She's kind of like, she's it's kind of larger than life in the picture, and then he's behind with the baby. And then I was able to find the image of her holding the baby. So my first initial thoughts looking at the image was, I didn't really have any thoughts. I was like, okay, yeah, I heard about, her being on the Super Bowl, everybody making a big deal about it, all of that kind of stuff. So it just made sense that she was on the cover, and now she's kind of like, being talked about. So anyway, my first thought of it was really absolutely nothing. And then I started seeing that a lot of, Black men are here. Y'all can like let me know, have the conversation with me, let me know your thoughts. But my first initial reaction to it, when I started seeing that Black men were saying that the kind of whole idea of feminizing or the feminization of Black men in media. Now, we know that that's a thing, right? We know that that is a program that has, been put into play, like just like this recent actor who's going to be in the movie Creed. You can clearly see those images, just like the guy, I can't remember his name right now, but recently he did some where he was like wearing, I think, like some tights, like some netted tights or whatever. And he was like a very, like when you saw him in on movies, he was very masculine. He's a very masculine Black man. So then when you start seeing these things, now I'm gonna get into that in a moment, really quickly. But what I want to talk about is what there's two signs, right? So I think a lot of times we don't know how to exist in two different kind of realities, right? So we have the one thing where the picture is, the whole article and everything is about Rihanna, right? And so she's kind of like, she's larger, because even the way that they did the picture, she's kind of like larger as well, like almost like a blown up caricature. And then you have ASAP Rocky, if that, I think that's his name, ASAP Rocky. He's like in the back holding the baby. So my first, when I started hearing this, and I think the first person that I heard kind of like really talking about it was Boyce Watkins, and he was saying that, he was like talking about it, feminizing Black men, and I just had to take myself as a Black woman who is married to a Black man, and I said, man, like we talk a lot about how we are tired of the programming that happens with Black Black men not being in the homes, right? Or not being there for their children, even though we know that that is not statistically true. But when there is an image that is showing someone who I would assume would not be the image, like wouldn't be the image of Black fatherhood, when we see him like holding his child, and you can see the love that he has for his child, whether you can see that, right? um and I said, my first thought is like we do need to see more of that. But it can also be true, because anything that is pushed out in the media, anything that is in a magazine, on TV, on any type of entertainment, has a level of programming. We do not enter any type of entertainment, programming, whatever it may be, without understanding that there is an agenda behind everything that we see. So I think that we have to make sure that we're having the conversation in a balanced way. So two things can be true, right? We can say that, yes, they're trying to make it about Rihanna, like she's supposed to be like this. And we understand that they're also trying to change and shift sort of kind of the gender dynamics. So you have ASAP Rocky, he's still like, he makes a lot of money, right? But then you have, when you put billionaire status on someone, especially a woman, it changes kind of the thought. It says that she's in charge, she's the lead, she's the head, she is leading the pack, right? So there's some things that I can take from it, and I can say there's some positive things, right? You're seeing a Black family, you're seeing a Black man loving on his children, but then I can also look at it and say, well, there is also a programming that is happening there, right? Because we do know that the program that exists within the quote unquote gender, kind of the gender war, does operate around this whole idea, because there are a handful. Well, I'm not going to even say a handful, but because statistically we have seen this over the years, where Black women were either you know, leading, quote unquote, leading their homes, whether it was because they had to, or because for whatever reason, because there's a lot of different reasons why a woman is in the position to lead her home. But um, we can see that being pushed in a lot of conversations that are being had around that, is the fact that Black women are, well, not even just Black women, women period, is like changing the gender role conversation. And then that goes into the um the actor who took those, suggestive photos. It goes into what that programming is. It's blurring the lines. It's saying that, we're not, we want to have a genderless society. If you go into Target, and I noticed this a few years ago. I i just i, I don't shop for my kids for kids clothes at Target, because it just makes me, I don't like it. But if you go into Target, they have this like blurred kind of line that especially in like the very young kids clothes. So sometimes you don't know if you're in the boys section or the girl section. And so that is a part of it. It's like trying to blur those lines, trying to blur those gender lines. I'm going to jump into the chat really quick and see what y'all are talking about here. So Wisdom Bar said, I took it as a feminine, but I also know in context how they both operate in regards to the masculine and feminine. Okay. So are you talking about how Rihanna and ASAP Rocky operate? If you can expound on that, I would love to hear what you have to say about that. Um, these days it says either way. Yeah. So you're yes, Lakeith. That's exactly who I was talking about. On the knitted leggings that women wear under clothes, emasculating himself, following along with the agenda. Yes. So one thing, and that really is going to go into my point of I asked the question, are we still, well, not are we, because I'm not, are y'all still, and I'm not talking about the people in the chat, but it goes into something that I saw with the Beyonce tickets that I'm gonna get into in a moment. But I'm like, are we still doing this? Is there still an urge to have this sort of worshiping? And I'm not saying worshiping like how religious folks or Christians, because they say like, if you follow Beyonce, you listen to Beyonce songs, you are, you're worshiping her, or she's, part of a cult and all this different kind of stuff. I think we have to understand when it comes to celebrities, period, they live in a whole different world. We probably would find a lot of things that they do, how they operate, what they engage in to be troublesome, to be problematic, and to be weird. So when people start pointing out certain things about different celebrities, I really ask the question, like, what does that have to do with you? Because you don't even live in that world. They're propped up for a reason. They're propped up to show us what we seek to achieve. Like that's what they're there for. It's kind of like you want the people, I mean, that's a part of capitalism, right? You want the people at the bottom to kind of always be looking up, as in, I can achieve this, but there has to always be someone at the bottom. And so when it comes to I'm gonna jump in the chat real quick, but when it comes to that, that's why I say that you are giving them that status, you're giving them that energy. So when we pay attention to these things all the time, right? Like whether we're on social media and we're debating about it and we're talking about it, that's giving them energy, because guess what? Anytime that people start talking about something or someone, this person, you might not have ever seen the person, right? You might not have seen it scroll on your feed because that's not a part of your algorithm. But as soon as someone mentions it or you hear about it or whatever it is, what do? You go to Google or you go in the search and you go look, and so it feeds into that. It's just like people will go watch something even though they don't really want to watch it, they don't agree with it, but they'll go watch it because because of that. It's like people who would, the boxer Floyd Mayweather, right? People would go to watch because they wanted to see him lose. And it's kind of like a weird thinking pattern that we have where we kind of do the opposite of what is actually good and healthy for us. We kind of do the opposite. They talk about that even within voting and all these different kind of things that we engage in, that goes into health and everything. I don't want to get off topic, but a lot of things that we do and we engage in is in the opposite of what we actually know and should be doing. So wisdom bars, you said, yeah, what I mean is that Rocky moves. Okay, I got you. Yeah. Now, I do see that often. And I see that even with people that uh I just know I've seen sometimes where the man is kind of more feminine, and then the woman is more has that masculine energy, and they work together and it works for them. And it could be different reasons, because I have seen men who have been raised mostly by women. They've mostly only had women in their life. They didn't have a lot of men around them. They end up either being very effeminate or they end up like trying to be what is the word I'm looking for? Not overly masculine, but it's kind of like you're trying to um oh, what's the word I'm looking for? You're basically trying to compensate. You're trying to compensate for something. So then that comes off as like I have to show that I'm manly, right? So yes, I do agree with that. If you listen and even if you listen to her music, right? There's some things that she says in her music, like I'm just gonna give the feeling behind some of her music. The feeling behind some of her music is like, you better bow down to me, right? Like you gonna do what I say do, you know? And that I want to do a whole series on music, y'all, because when I listen to the music, that's what a lot of it is why we're here, because it carries frequency. It goes into our subconscious. And so then you have a lot of women behaving in a certain way. Just listen to a lot of these female rappers, y'all. I can't even listen to it. I can't stomach it. But some of the things that they're saying and they do. I do believe that sometimes when especially women who are business owners will say this. They say, you have to kind of lead with your masculinity. Everybody has feminine masculine energy within them, right? But a lot of women will say that. They say, I have to be masculine because I won't be able to work and do some of the things because of that, if I'm not moving in my masculine energy. So that is a whole different discussion. But I see what you mean, because I think also they were talking about ASAP Rocky was saying that he was a feminist. So there are some things that I did read up on where he was talking about or he was kind of like being in that role, like he's okay with that. So and I get what you're saying, wisdom bars. Peace to you, Enya. It is so good to see you. Yes, a surprise pop up. Y'all remember VH1 pop up video? Don't mind me, y'all. Okay, so we have Abraham. Abraham. Peace, brother. Thank you for coming through. Yes, I am back. And I just decided to do pop-up live today just because I have been missing my MaatSpeaks family. And so I am so thankful to be here. It brings me so much joy to be here. So thank you for coming through. Natasha, pieces. Thank you for coming through. It is good to see you. Yes, so I'm not gonna be here too long, but I just wanted to talk about that. Now let's get into I have to speak because no one understands these things, you know like the Maat Speaks family, because I know y'all are really out here trying to live balanced lives. So I want y'all to tell me in this chat right now, what did y'all think? If you heard, I don't know if you heard about it. I'm around people who are crazy, they love Beyonce. Now, back in the day, I loved me some Beyonce, okay? My husband will tell you when he met me, I was a Beyonce fan. Now, this was over 15 years ago, okay? So, and I can give her credit. She's a good singer. Like, if you hear Beyonce sing, she can sing. I don't know why people be like, she can't sing, because she can. She can sing. She's a great entertainer. But these tickets, y'all, these tickets, um, tell me about what y'all think about these tickets. I'm gonna say what I think about these tickets, and then I'm just gonna let it go. But tell me what y'all thought about these tickets and this. Like, you had to have a code. It was almost like the lottery, right? Like, but you have to pay. Like, you got to pay a lot of money to be in this lottery, and then you don't get any money. Like, I don't know. Doesn't really make sense to me. But tell me what y'all think about it. And you're going. Thank you, sis. Thank you so much. Peace to you. Okay, so Wisdom Bar says, I think there's nothing wrong with the balance between the feminine and masculine between the men and women, but when it's lopsided, then it's a problem. Okay, yes, I get that. And that's why I say that for some people, it does seem to work when like a man is maybe he's more comfortable in his, and this is a conversation I really want to go deep on with an elder, because I would like to get a more in depth with this, because even what we call feminine and masculine, like what are we calling feminine and masculine? I believe that men, I haven't met many men that I would be able to outlift, right? I don't think I've met any, really, because like even our oldest son, right? Even since he was like in his teens, his early teens, preteens, I would say, he was stronger. He was stronger than me. And then like our youngest son, who's only 4 years old, he's still like, even though I'm stronger, I'm stronger than him, but he has like this, this manliness about him that is different than his sisters. And it's like, even like if I pick him up or I'm trying to hold him or something like that, it's a lot different. And then if he wants to get away, he's going to use all his strength and all of that and stuff like that. So it is it's different. So I would like to get more in depth into that, because what are we calling masculine and masculine and feminine? And I talked about it before, but I really want to get deeper with it, because I think we misconstrue masculine and feminine energy with gender roles, because your strength, like you as a man having greater strength, does dictate a lot of times your roles, right? Now we live in a different society than our ancestors lived in, so some of those things like brute strength, right? Those things are not necessarily always needed day to day. Like I don't need my husband going and like, you know, going and struggling with a line or whatever. Like I don't need him doing doing things like that. Or he doesn't have to necessarily, go pick up heavy things every single day. But when I do need him to do those things, he's able to do those things, but that's not something that's needed every single day. Just like me as in my feminine role, you know, you know, I don't know. I just want to have a conversation on a deeper level, because then when I think about that, I'm like, well, do I use that every day? I kind of do. Like, if you're talking about, but okay, I'm not going to get into that, because, that can go off on a deep, on something else. So I feel the same way. I used to love Beyonce, but now I don't know about her and her affiliations. Okay, so yeah, let's get back to that. So the tickets. So if you don't know about these tickets, right? These tickets, I think even like the nosebleed sections, right? A lot of people were like posting the section. So anyway, she came out and said she was going on tour for her last album. And then the tickets, like people were like, yo, like the tickets are expensive. Like they're crazy expensive, right? So $1,000 or more, even like for the nosebleed section. And so then people were saying, oh yeah, you had to have a code. Like you couldn't just like buy the ticket. You had to have like codes. And so people were trying to figure out how to get the codes and everything. And so the thing that I have with that is I don't have a problem with people going to concerts. I don't have a problem with people enjoying themselves and living their life. But I do have a problem with people taking advantage of people. And that's what it's like. It's like you're being a parasite. Like y'all are already billionaires. And first of all, like when you're sitting up on $1 billion, right? Or, it's not $1 billion, right? It's assets and things like that. But regardless, right? If you're living in, let's say you're living in $1 million mansion and you got $1 million cars and all of that, when you're sitting up on that, and we can have this, I know a lot of people don't like to talk like this, but when you're sitting up on that, and then there's people, um, especially people that look like you, who can't even like feed themselves. And I'm not saying that you have to take your money and do anything with it, right? But then you go and you're like, hey, and I know this is not just her, okay? So I'm not putting it all on Beyonce, but she okay with it. Okay, she a part of it. But I know she has a whole team with her, right? So, but when you say, you know what, on top of that, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make people spend this kind of money. And we all know what it is, right? It's capitalism, right? You can do it. And what happens? People are going to buy into it. But why? Why are people buying into that? Because I'm just going to, like, if I really want to listen to, I'm just going to put your album in. I'm just going to listen to it. I think the only person that probably would have come close to me spending that kind of money, I think $500 at the most would have been Michael Jackson, but it's just like baffling to me. And one person said this, they said, they were like, and it was a joke, but it's some truth to it. Beyonce is acting like people weren't losing their jobs last year, because some people haven't come back from that. Everybody didn't get their jobs back or get the money that they lost back, like some of the people that's what's happening in New York. Some people are still without jobs. Some people are still trying to play catch up, so it's still a toll. And so when somebody shows me that, and so I say, why? Like, why do you engage in that? And so to me, it still goes back into that energy exchange. It goes back into that celebrity worship. And also it goes back into what we talk about here on Time and Time Again, which is value. So I see you as valuable, because when you think about it, a lot of people are not putting that money that type of money into their community, that type of money into even into themselves. Because when you think about, a person might not even put that type of money into bettering themselves. That's because they don't see themselves as valuable as a person like Beyonce, right? And so it goes into value. It goes into what we see as value, and also what we have adopted as our mindset, which we know comes from Eurocentric thinking patterns. So we kind of want to be like, hey, there were so many people posting like, hey, I'm going to Beyonce concert. And why? Because that gives you value. Not only because people know how much the tickets cost, but they also know that this person is deemed as valuable. Like, hardly anybody, you can't say Beyonce's name and people don't know who she is. And so that comes with a certain level. I saw people who I was actually kind of surprised by, who were like, oh yeah, I'm going to Beyonce concert. I was like, I didn't even know you even like Beyonce like that. So, so it gives you, it almost is like it gives you clout, right? Because if you can say, I was there, that means I could afford it. It means that I'm valuable because I see this person as valuable. And I just will never be okay with parasitic behavior. Like, to me. So, one thing that about going back to the Rihanna picture, when I saw it, I said, we can also talk about these pictures, these Beyonce and Jay-Z pictures, where they're look supposed to be looking like aristocrats. They're looking very European, because again, that goes into that value system, and it goes into the Europeanization of Black people, which I do want to touch on that eventually, but I know that it may make some people upset. So I don't know when I'm going to ever touch on that, but I will say that it can be a hard thing to tackle. It can be a hard thing um, to touch on because we are very much in this paradigm, which is European. So we see value in what they see value in. We seek we seek what they what they have desired, they have told us. And so all of these things are just programs, things that have been programmed into us. And then over the years, because when you even listen to the music of like Jay-Z and Beyonce, and I mean, like I said, they have good, they have music, they have ear pleasing, music, because you're talking about beats, you're talking about frequency, but then you also have to listen to the lyrics. And one thing that they push continuously is that wealth, like, being a billionaire, making money, getting money. It goes back to when we had that conversation about chasing the bag and what that is. That is the culture, especially now in the Black community. It is going into uh, that culture of chasing the bag. And okay, y'all. So I'm going to have to go because there is something that's going on um, with family. So I'm going to have to go in just a moment. But I just wanted to come on here and kind of talk, just have the conversation, talk. I'm still learning as well. If you have any other things that you want to say, you can throw it in the chat. But I really enjoyed this conversation. Um, you know, Tonight was really, before I go, I just want to say that when it comes to my Aunt Speaks moving forward, I will continue to have conversations with others, with like-minded people, and having those deep conversations. But I will be focusing a lot on healing our community, healing ourselves, healing the brokenness within us. So I will be having a lot of conversations or discussions or videos and topics about that, because healing is very important. We cannot talk about building without talking about healing. So with that being said, family, share with me your thoughts in the comments. um, and I will see you very soon with a great conversation. I'm going to be inviting some guests on, and we'll have more dynamic conversations coming forth from my Aunt Speaks. So until next time, I'll see you, family. Peace.